Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be looking at a used G550 G-Wagon. I think this might just be the best version of the G-Wagon to buy. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to RC Automotive for giving me some time with this G-Wagon. I'm going to include a link to their website in the description down below so you can check out what they have. They have a bunch of really cool pre-owned inventory. Link to my car buying guide as well. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a 5.5 liter V8 naturally aspirated that goes through a 7-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 388 horsepower and then 391 pound-feet of torque. Now this engine isn't quite as legendary for reliability as the 5 liter V8, but it's still a really good engine with the G-Wagon. Before I move forward with this review, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Now, I've always thought that the styling on the G550 versus the AMG versions, or, you know, rather the G500 or G550, just look better. There's a few things. So it still has all of the same cool stuff like the turn signal indicators up top. You still have the circular headlights, but they always put the brush guard over the headlights with the 550s. With the new AMGs, for example, they have the brush guard at the bottom. It looks super dorky. So this has that cool kind of like safari SUV look, and I think this is one of the best styles on the G-Wagon because of the little daytime running lights there at the bottom. I don't know, I think that it's a cool look overall. Now this one is donked, kind of. It's got really big wheels. You can fit smaller wheels. I think you can fit for sure 18s. You might even be able to fit 17s with this generation of G-Wagon, so you can get quite a bit of rubber underneath there, or you can donk it like this one has been. Anyways, painted fender flares, you can see the fixed side steps. You got the exhaust that dumps out the center, which is really cool. And then this has always been a cool part of the G-Wagon, this piece that goes all along the side. And then again, you've got that iconic boxy design. And I want to show the key fob because this will give you guys nostalgia. This is this version of Mercedes key fob, which is kind of cool. Anyways, popping into the rear here, the swing gate is a bit on the heftier side. It's not super assisted like a lot of modern cars. Actually have a nice trim here on the back. But yeah, tons of space, vertical space, all of that. It's one of the big benefits of the G-Wagon is it's a box, so it's got box-like space. And then of course you got the cool click sound when you close things. And then the rest of the rear, you get that iconic boxy look. And then popping inside, of course, cool sound with the door. I love this interior, and this is actually held up really well. This has almost 100,000 miles on the odometer, and you can see that everything just still fits very tightly. And that's one of the cool things about this type of leather and everything is, again, it just holds up well. Now this version of the G-Wagon didn't have a ton of legroom. It's one of the downsides with this compared to the new ones. But, I mean, I think it's still more than usable. And then popping over to the front, again, you got the cool door sound. Same thing here, and again, this is gonna have the most wear. Basically looks like new. I like the dorky wood trim. Obviously all the seat adjustments here on the side, blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. And then here's the front seat again. This seat is gonna have the most wear in the car. And it's, again, this leather and everything, it's held up really well. Pretty cool pedals there on the side. And then popping in, my favorite part about the G-Wagon, yes, the doors. Now this was back in the day when we had to put keys in ignitions. Pretty cool. Oh no! The donk is low on pressure. It happens. But anyways, yeah, mostly analog gauge cluster. There, you guys can see with the wood trim here on the steering wheel. And down below as well. I don't know why Mercedes always does that. They always like turn on the volume a little bit when you start up the car. This actually has a backup camera. It takes a second to pop on, but it's got it nonetheless. And then, yeah, the volume's still on. That's weird. You've got the 3 locking differentials. So again, triple locked SUV. It actually has heated and cooled seats, which is a nice luxury feature. And then you can see down below with the climate controls. And then you got all this stuff with the shifter and everything in the center. Center console's like locks in place. That's kind of cool at the top. See more of the adjustments here on the seat. Got the iconic grab handle there on the dash. And again, this trim has held up really well. This has quite a few miles on it. And then we do have a sunroof up top. Now, brand new, I mean, this would have been like, what, 100,000 and now this is in the $40,000 range. Again, it has almost 100,000 miles. The G-Wagons, they tend to obviously not be as expensive as brand new, but they tend to always be worth something because triple locked, body on frame, solid axles front and rear, and very luxurious interior. I mean, people are always going to want to pay something for one of these, but well, let's check things out. Well, when it comes to visibility, it is a G-Wagon, so you can see really well all throughout. And it's so cool seeing the turn signal indicators over the hood. I recently did that review on that modified G500, and that was a really cool car. I will say that. And there's some things that I like about that car more than this. One thing with the 500 is a little bit older, so more simplistic. Like the interior wasn't quite as techy versus this has a little bit more tech. It's not overwhelming by any means, but that was one thing that I liked. I do like the sound of this a lot more. It's got that deep rumble that modern G-Wagons are known for, which I think is really cool. And again, this one is stock with the suspension. I'm like 99% sure. I did notice it's kind of softer when you have compression and go over bumps and everything. And again, this has huge wheels. If you went to smaller wheels, like let's say instead of these gigantic wheels, you went to like a 17 or an 18-inch wheel, well, the ride quality is going to be even better. So just something to consider. But yeah, going over bumps, it's nice. And it's still body on frame, solid axles front and rear, but it does a good job. The steering wheel's just in like a slightly awkward place, but whatever, I'll just leave it there. I will say it's shocking how similar this is to my Ineos Grenadier. I keep saying it, that the Ineos Grenadier is basically a utilitarian G-Wagon, and some people get it and some people don't. But yeah, since I've reviewed a few of these previous gen G-Wagons, it's kind of amplified that, where I'm like, yep, that is definitely the case, because they just drive so similar. Biggest difference though is this has a V8, and I do think that's appealing because, you know, V8s are just nice. And see, this stuff right here, this is the kind of stuff that if you had smaller wheels and a little bit more sidewall on the tire, it wouldn't do as much, because the tire would provide a little extra layer of compression. That's the funny thing about these G-Wagons that I'm seeing is these older G-Wagons, I feel like they have one of two lives they'll live. Either someone will turn it into like a bougie overland rig, or it'll be like this, where it's kind of it's got the huge wheels and it's like a mall crawler, like status symbol type vehicle. So it's interesting to see the differences that you'll see with the builds. Another downside about this is the fuel economy. That's all G-Wagons, right? It's the price you pay for the build quality you get with them, and then being a block of cheese. I would expect you'd be able to probably get in the low teens with this in terms of your average fuel economy. Ooh, and this has that nice naturally aspirated V8 power band, where it just keeps building power. The new G-Wagons, they've got that crazy torque punch because they're turbocharged, which is fun, don't get me wrong. And they have crazy, like, the new G63's got crazy power, but this feels more natural, if that makes sense. Like, this is, when I think of a G-Wagon, like, that's kind of what I think of with the power band, is this just kind of like smooth progression, but just tons of torque all the way through too. Really nice engine. I think I like this one more than the 500, because the 50 V8, again, super reliable, but it's kind of low on power. This has got some power. So something's up. Really cool rig. Man, I don't know I don't know. I think this might be the best version. It's hard to say because, again, I like the simplicity of the 500 more. And the 500s are going to be more affordable, right? Because it's an older car. But I do really like how the 550 here drives. And I love the power of the engine and the sound. So, yeah, I'd be tempted to spend the extra... Sorry, I just got to make sure I don't hit into anything. This lot's kind of tight. I'd be tempted to spend the extra money on a 550 if I was in the market for one of these. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you go 500 or 550. Both of them, you know, really cool rigs. I do hate the shifter in this. I will say I hate the shifter. Both of them really cool rigs. And yeah, that was a tough one. That was definitely a tough one. Let me know your thoughts.